think it's so much sun.
Hey, what up? Welcome back to the channel. Out at Diamond MX in Wareham, Massachusetts. We're going to do a track view and a bike comparison on 2023 YZ250F and a 2023 Husqvarna FC350. So we're going to get right into it. We'll do a lap on the track. This is a great track. It's a sand base. I used to really like this track. Haven't been here in over a year. Lenny, the fellow that's at the gate, he's a gatekeeper. He's really cool and nice. Really good track to get me back to my basis, because I like sand if you follow along, but I definitely set up my bike for sand, and if I can ride it there, I can pretty much adjust it anywhere else as long as I'm comfortable on sand. But this is the track. You just saw me go up the first hill, sweeping left-hander down the straightaway to there's like a mini table and then that single. This right-hander, the sun was in your eyes, but jumping the single to this left-hander, I guess you want to call it a bull turn. And then there's like a step down right here, a real small one. Third gear into this big table that has a steep landing. And then another mild table. I was going inside most of the day, and I cut this just to get through, but I'm third gear around this after the second gear, hitting that small table. You gotta check up on that, then jumping this one and going left here. I was going inside or outside. The inside was way faster for me. Banging third gear here off this table, trying to stretch that one out. It's not like a tall one. And then there's this table as well. Nice sand soil. It rained a lot this week. This is the start front stretch. Jump the tunnel jump and go up this gradual left-hand hill. I was doing it standing in third gear. And then you drop down into this, and that's a lap after this right-hander to the big bull turn that we started at. Anyway, so we'll start with my comparison. Anyway, the date is August 31st. It's a Thursday. There was not many people here. So that was a lap on the YZ250. We kind of missed it, but here's the Husky lap, and I'll talk the differences because there's more that comes after this. So this is a 2023 Husqvarna FC350, my baby, my pride and joy. If you watch my videos, I really love this bike. I like the Austrian bikes. Not a crazy fan of the air fork, but I'm trying to find a bike to like practice with in between, and I chose the YZ250F, but they're a tight race together, so that's why I had to do this back to back. So on this bike, it loves to eat in the sand, have tons of power for it, and I really feel like stable. But the bike is really, it's much heavier than the YZ250F, and I can feel it out there. I run 18-inch rear wheels with bibs, so this might differ from what you have or not, and I'm running an AT81 on both bikes for the rear. Front, I like the Dunlop MS3S. I tried a 34, or I'm trying a 34 on this one right now, and in the sand it works awesome. So the things I noticed on this bike is the power is plentiful. If I make a mistake on this 350, it gets me out of trouble. So on the YZ250F, I can't make mistakes. It's more of a momentum-driven bike, and you gotta beat like the hell out of it, or you feel like you're beating the hell out of it, and let it sing. It likes to eat high RPMs and shift a lot. So I'm not used to that. I'm not typically a 250F racer, but I'm trying at it, and quite liking the bike. I'm having a lot of fun on it. So this right here is the YZ250F, and I'm trying to do side-by-side video with the FC350. This is a 350. So I'm keep in mind, I'm only giving like 80% out here. I'm not trying to get hurt or nothing. And I'm definitely not going full bore. Just trying to do a consistent lap so I can get the comparison between the two bikes. So back to the YZ250F. This bike is all over the place in a good way. It's very responsive and it gives the rider a lot of feedback. I noticed the suspension's real twitchy, but that's because it's a stock suspension. It's stiff for motocross. I have the compression all the way out. It's a lot stiffer than my Husqvarna. Running 105 sag on this one, and I may have to do the suspension or just get used to it. But like in this sand stuff, it was fine. It had tons of power. It wasn't floating in the air as good as my Husqvarna, but I think it's just my suspension settings. Stuff like this right-hander, like the rut to berm, this bike carved like crazy. So I like that, and it's just, if you can hear the bike, I just have to be on the gas all the time. You have to really move around on this bike and be aggressive, or you're gonna lose time and momentum. What else can I say about it? The bike is awesome. I'm not sure which bike I'm gonna race, but I'm trying to think of what we can compare the two. The one thing that I didn't want to accept is that I'm a second faster on the FC350. But I have a lot more time on that bike. That bike's got almost 50 hours, and this YZ's got just 10. So, and I'm trying to ride woods. I'm doing J days if you follow along, so that's half woods, half motocross track. I'm trying to set up a bike to be good in both conditions. So the Yamaha, I feel like I'm flying, like I'm ripping, I'm getting after it. And then if you do like a lap comparison, I think my lap times were 123 at this track. It's a small lap, but on the Husqvarna I was 123, and on the YZ I was like 124, but they were consistent. So say between like 5 laps each. I banged out a lot of motos here, probably like 4, 15 or 20 minute motos, like one on each bike. This one I just got off that bike and got right on to this one to do a like full comparison. Things I was struggling with the YZ was the rear wheel traction. The FC350, I can put it anywhere and it just pulls. The YZ, you have to have more momentum in areas like this. So going down here on the YZ, I know I'm on the Husky, but I'm like 3rd gear pegged, maybe 4th. And then all these sections, like the YZ wants to carve all the corners, and the front doesn't wash as much as the 250. But on areas like this turn, the Husky, I can pull 3rd right out of that turn without shifting and nailing that jump and continuing up over these tables. So both the bikes are mint, and this section right here on the Husky, it wasn't bad, but the YZ definitely turns better. The suspension is softer on the Husky, so like I felt like better over the braking bumps and acceleration bumps. But also this turn, the YZ stayed in the rut a lot better. I think on one of these I went out of the rut on this bike, the Husky. So I mean, it's kind of preference or what you get used to, and it could be suspension settings, but the YZ, you really have to rip on it. You have to get that thing up in the RPM and then shift a lot. That's the big difference I noticed between the 250F and the 350. So if I was to pick a bike, I really can't, because I don't know what I'm going to race this week at Sandbox. But if it was woods and more loomy stuff, I like the YZ 250F. For that, if it's like sand, like say Southwick, I may want the 350 power, because it's just a smoother ride. There's less rider feedback, and if you make a mistake, you can just grip it and rip it and get yourself out of the mistake. Suspension was good on both. They're very similar the way I set my bikes up. I'm in the Husky, I'm in the front bar mount with the clamps turned back. On the YZ, I'm in the back bar mount with the clamps turned forward. So they're not the same, but they're both running 18 rear wheels, and they both got AT81 rear. I'm loving that tire with the Moose, like I just said. But man, this YZ felt super light. I could maneuver it. It just, you gotta like be hauling ass on it to get faster. So I was using it for a practice tool, I thought, but I may race it this weekend. But as I said earlier, I'm a second slower at this track on this bike. So let's hope in the woods I can make up that second on this bike, because it's just a more nimble type of bike, but I gotta get used to it. All in all, both bikes are great. If Yamaha had a 350, maybe I would do that instead of the Austrian, just because of the air fork. The air fork is challenging. It's good for like 2 laps and then it pumps up. Or I gotta stop being cheap and buy the spring conversion. But the cost of the Austrian bikes plus suspension, you're adding up a lot of money. And then if I send the suspension out on the YZ250F, I'm still less money than what it would be. But you got to do something to both and get them to comfort level for you. That's the main thing. So this bike, I was feeling more comfortable in the air with it, just whipping it, trying to whip. I'm not really good at it, but you can just more movability on it. I just felt more comfortable in certain sections and like the turns. The rest I can make work, but all in all, if you're looking for a good all-around bike, the YZ250F is awesome. Like say you want to go woods, track, sand. I struggled in the sand pit with it, with the untouched like super like soft sand. But yeah, obviously the Husky 350 is gonna shine there. But it's a tank, the Husky in the woods. And I didn't notice that until I ride these back to back like that at this track, how much weight difference it is. So that's that. Continue to watch if you'd like and subscribe to the channel. But you let me know what you think, and if you have any questions, I'll give you some feedback on what I feel or think. I'm gonna race this weekend at Sandbox for the J Day, and we'll see. I'm leaning more towards the YZ250F, but we'll have to see. All right, I'll catch you at the next. Later.